Okay, everybody, we are back. And this time we're going to go over the administrative side of OK Career Guide. And so we'll be jumping into that. I'm going to show you how to pull various reports for your students and so forth. So we'll be going over that. But before we do that, there was one thing that I wanted to show you that I forgot to show you in the last webinar. And so I wanted to go over that very quickly. It's in the student side. And don't worry about having to be in your student account. I just want to show it to you briefly. I did mention it in the last webinar, but I didn't get to it. So you are going to see me talk a little bit about what Connect to Business is. And so when a student logs in, we've talked all about, changing languages up here, can change to Spanish. We talked about account settings, assessments, goals, exploring occupations, ed plans, ICAP Oklahoma. But the other feature I wanted to talk to you about just briefly is on this left-hand column. It's called Connect to Business. So Connect to Business is a feature in OK Career Guide for students or any users. Adult users can have access to this too, to look at businesses locally and see what's out there and what they look for in a potential employee. And so it's really nice. It's connecting employers to potential employees. So Connect to Business. So when you click this drop down, you're going to see a little what is Connect to Business blurb. And then you'll see two options. You have search for businesses or search for opportunities. So if we click search for businesses, you're going to just be able to see businesses that have put in their information about what they do, who they are, what they look for, where they're located, things like that. If we look at search for opportunities, you may see apprenticeship opportunities, you may see internship opportunities, externships, shadowing, what have you. So lots of cool different things in both features. So I'm going to click in search for businesses for a moment. And it takes just a moment to load, but you will see we actually have close to 500 businesses entered into Connect to Business. And they're not just in the state of Oklahoma. There's a few in various parts of the country. So what I will tell you about this is some of these are duplicates. So while it looks like it's close to 500, there may be two different banks because there may have one location in Oklahoma City and another location in Tulsa, for example. So they may list some twice just to reach those students in those areas or those users in those areas. So students can go up here to filter options. They can search for a keyword. They can also filter by cluster. So remember, we've talked a little bit about the 16 clusters. And so if they're looking for a specific cluster, they can filter by 1, 2, or 3, however many they would like. They can also look at specific cities. And so you'll see we've got, Bethany, Broken Arrow, Catoosa, Chickasha, Choctaw, but we also have Denver. We also have Denton. We have Frisco, and we have Seattle. I saw in there yesterday. So we have a variety of places. Plano's in there. So not just the state of Oklahoma. They can filter by specific areas. They can filter by specific regions. And then it will show them areas or companies in those areas, I should say. So you'll see cluster. So students are looking for a manufacturing. They could see these various opportunities here. Now, if I click into one of these, so let me see, I'm going to search and show you Ditch Witch. Okay, so when I click into Ditch Witch, it gives their information, what they do, and what they're looking for in positions that are typically open, and how to find those applications for those different positions. So it's really nice. So that's when they just put their business information in. Now, if a company wants to put in opportunities, so job opportunities, whatever that may look like, students can click here. We don't have very many in there right now. You'll see that all of them are with a hospice center out of Tulsa, which is nice because that's where you all are. So if you have students who maybe are good at art therapy, music, singing, social work, healthcare. These could be good opportunities for those students. And so whenever we click into one, so I'll click into this healthcare. You can see again their information, what related occupations are, and then available opportunities and who to call to check into that. So it's really, really nice. Now, if you're interested in this and connecting some employers that you know that would like to put their information in, please let me know. I have information that I can provide for you to get those employers into Connect to Business. There is a back end side that employers can visit to get access to that. So please let me know if that's something you would like to do, or you have folks you can reach out to at career fairs or what have you, because I'd love to get more companies inputted into there, especially for students in the Tulsa area who may want to go to Oklahoma City or maybe want to go to Arkansas, Texas, Missouri, wherever that may be. And we can put those employers in there to connect them. So if you know anybody even out of state that would be interested in this, this would be great. So now you have seen a little bit more about Connect to Business. And so now we're going to transition into the administrative side for just a moment. So to create an administrative account, I'm going to walk you through it. I did send Miss Veal the information for you all to have that you need to create an account. So keep in mind, you have created a student account. And so you would go to OKCareerGuide.org and you would go to login and OKCG login. That gets you to your fake student account, your mock student account that you've created. Now, to get an administrative account, which is going to show you the back end, the reporting side, like we've talked about, you will go to administrator login instead. So you'll click administrator login, and it'll lead you to the back end, the database management system. And so to create an account, you'll click create an account. It's going to ask what type. It's always educator. So you click educator and continue. And then it's going to ask for your basic information. So personal info, what username and password you would like to use here. So whatever you want to do there that you know you'll remember. Again, write this down so that you remember what your student account login is and your administrative account login is. Now, you'll see at the very bottom, you do need an access code and a password. So I have provided that to Miss Ville for you all. And so she can have that and give that information to you. And so you'll just enter those two pieces of codes. It's a code and a password. And then you'll click the I have read to terms and agreements and you'll register. And so once you have registered, you will be able to log in. It'll take you straight to the login page. And so after you've logged in, it's going to look just like this. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of the system so you can see it and what it looks like. So this is just the home page and a quick at a glance. Now, keep in mind, mine is going to look different than yours. I do not have a street school administrative account. I just have a state account. So mine is not going to look exactly like yours. I don't have access to your students like you do and like you will in this account. So don't worry if our numbers are different, but you can see the total registered numbers. And then you can see number of assessments to date that students have taken. And then over here, remember we've talked about their interest, skills, and work values assessment. So you're going to be able to see just a quick aggregate view of what the most common interests clusters are for all of your students, most common skills clusters are for your students, and then same with work values. So you can see for the state, this is not surprising, our top clusters are education training. And you'd think that would be higher since most of you are educators and you have tied your student account to the Career Tech High School training account. But some are also law and public safety, which makes a lot of sense that we have folks who are interested in that human services law education training side. It may look very similar for you all at your school. It may not. It just kind of depends on what your students are interested in to see what their top clusters are. And then you're going to see all of the tabs at the top. So you're going to see a reports tab, a tools and resources tab, administration tab, connect to business. Now, we are only going to focus on the reports tab and the administration tab today. So don't worry, you're welcome to play around in anything you want in this account, but don't worry about tools and resources and connect to business for this particular training. So first, I'm going to start in administration. So when you click on the administration tab, it's going to show you a managed system users in the center, in the box. And you're going to see three important components in this box. And I'm going to focus on these three today. So we've got find a user. And this is where you can search for an individual student and find their information. Transition users. Now, this is important because remember, we talked about on the student side, how students need to go into their account settings in their OKCareerGuide account settings, and they need to make sure their school and their grade is correct. So you may remember us talking about that. That is important because whenever you go to transition students out of street school, you're going to want to make sure that their grades are correct. Now, the good news is this system pulls by graduation year and year of birth. So even if a student's information is not correct on their student side, so maybe they are a junior, they were a junior, now they're a senior and they're graduating, it's going to be able to pick up on that even if their grade's not correct in the system. I'll show you that in just a moment. But transitioning users, this is when you want to move a student to another school or you want to just move them out of your system entirely. And then we have a username report, and I'm going to show that to you too. It'll make a lot of sense whenever you see it, how that's going to be beneficial. So let's start with a find a user option. Now you'll see I'm going to focus on the individual tab up here, and you can enter a student's information. So feel free to walk along with me and you can enter a student that you know, enter their information here. I'm going to enter my fake student account. And I'm just going to put my first and last name. So remember, I'm Tammy Taylor in my student account. So I'm going to search. And then you can see I pull up. So it shows my username, my contact info, and then my fake date of birth. And then whenever I click the little actions right over here, see that little blue, looks like a folded over paper, little dog-eared paper. So when you click that actions, it's going to pull up user details for that student. And so it's really nice to be able to see all their information in one quick view. So let's go over this together because I want you to see the benefits of this particular view. One thing to know is you can see a student's username. So I can see, okay, this is my username. You will not be able to see students' passwords. That's protected and private. But you can have a student reset their you can reset the student's password for them. So let me walk you through that. So when you click reset password, it's going to ask, are you sure you want to do this? And you'd click yes. Now I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want to reset my password. But once you click yes, it's going to give you a temporary password for that student. And when that student goes to log in, so take a picture of that, write that down, whatever will help you remember that temporary password for that student. And hopefully they're sitting there with you, but if they're not, then be sure to write it down, take a picture of it, whatever will help you remember it so that you can give it to them the next time you see them. It does not expire until they use it. So when the student has a temporary password, they will go to log in like they normally would. OKCG login. Now this is different if you guys use Clever. I don't know if you use Clever. So if you use Clever, this really doesn't apply to you, but I don't know that. So I'm going to act as if you don't. So if a student goes to OKCG login, they would enter their username. So mine is K Wilhoit, as you saw. And then if I had the reset password option, the temporary password, I would enter it here. And then I would click login. And whenever the student has done that, it's going to pull up a page to create a new password, and then confirm new password. So that makes it a lot easier for you all to reset passwords instead of having students create a new account because they can't remember what they used last year. Just go in, find them, and then help them reset their password. It's not complicated. If you have problems with this, please let me know. I can get you the information to get that student reset so that you don't have to create a duplicate account for them. Again, we want to avoid duplicate accounts if at all possible, because you can't merge, you cannot consolidate accounts in this system. So keep that in mind. Now, moving forward for a moment, you can see a student's assessment reports, just a one-page summary report. So I'm going to click on this. And then I can see my assessment results. And I can see, okay, here are my tutor interest results. This is when I did them, my skills confidence and when I did it. And then this third option is just a composite of the first two. And then the one down here, if you scroll down, you're going to see work values assessment results. And so that's nice if you just want to pull a student's quick results of their assessments. So I'm going to get out of that. And then down here, you can see when a student has taken their assessment. So you can even view reports for each of those. And it's going to pull my work values assessment. I love that. I think that's nice to see. So you can see every single assessment the student has taken down here by date, how long it took them, and what grade they were in whenever they took it. Again, another reason why their grade is up to date in the system, why that's important. You can also see education plans that I've done. And so if I click on one, I clicked on junior, senior year, it is going to show my information and then what I inputted into my education plan for my junior and senior years. I can also see any resumes the students done. I can see any uploaded documents. So remember, we talked about how students can upload documentation here, whether that's their ACT score or proof of their work-based learning or service learning experience. You can view those images here. So notice that this individual report, the only thing it does not show for ICAP requirements are goals. It shows assessment results for the student when they took all their assessments. It shows their education plans. It shows their work or service-based learning documentation. The only thing it does not show are goals. So I like this particular view, but it's not going to show you one of these for all of your students in mass, right? You have to go and search for the student one by one. So I'll show you another option, and that kind of covers the find a user component. I'm going to go back to the administration tab again. So we're back in administration. And we're going to go down to username report. So it's got the two little people in the red and pink shirts, looks like. So if we click username report, you're going to see options to filter. So it's going to ask you to select a product. You will also always, select Navigator. Navigator is our secondary option. So it's our 6th through 12th program. Tutor Journey is our adult program. So anybody who's graduated high school and has moved on will use Tutor Journey. It's really not a big difference. It's just that OKCareerGuide looks a little different for high school students versus students who may be at a tech center or whatever. The system just looks a little different for them. So click Navigator, and then you'll see your school pop up. So it should say Street School. And then just leave location as all in all for state and county. But down here, you're going to see graduation years. So see that little black plus button. You click that, it's going to open up for you. And so what I would do is I would actually deselect all graduation years. And so now you'll see that they are all deselected. Then we're going to click the little black plus button in the high school. And let's just search for just seniors. Let's just do, or you can do 11th and 12th, whatever you'd like to do. Or you can search for all high school, but I think it's easy to break it down by grade. So I'm going to select 12th grade for my purposes. So it should look similar to this. You should see the only grade selected, whatever you've chosen. You can, again, you can select all high school, but I'm just going to select 12th grade for my purposes. And so this boots out any middle school students and it boots out any students who have graduated. So you're only going to see those specific grades. So down here in the bottom left, I'm going to click View Report. And it's going to give me a list of students. Now, again, keep in mind, these are my seniors according to OKCareerGuide, but you're going to notice their age and their grade level is a little different. So you can see, and again, keep in mind, this is our state account. So it's our training account, but you're going to see random ages in here. But the reason that is because even though they may show a 20-year-old who is in grade 7, it is because whenever that individual created their account, they selected 2023 as their graduation year. So it's going to pick up any students who were in 2023 grads. So let's just click into one. So you're going to see all these names, okay? Now, if you go to just pick a random student, doesn't matter which, and sometimes you'll see like multiple accounts made. So see how we have a Rumble Bison made 3 times. We cannot consolidate those, right? So you may have students who have more than one account. That's going to happen. So what you can do is if you go to a student's name and right click, open link in new tab, okay? Now I should have added at the beginning of this, I always use Google Chrome or Firefox whenever I am in my administrative account. I do not use Safari, Edge, any of those. I use Chrome or Firefox. So I'm going to click and open Rumble Bison in a new tab. And you're going to notice a page that looks familiar. Remember, we found a user earlier. We clicked the Find a User option. This is that page in detail for that student. So if you are wanting to see in mass your students' results for ICAP, other than goals, remember this page does not show students' goals. Students can go, or you can go in and find a student, excuse me. You can right click their name, open a new tab, and you'll be able to see all of their information. So I can see this is Missy Barrett. I can see her username. I can reset password. I can look at a one-page summary report. I can see when she took her assessments. I can see she did an education plan for Hale. She named it Hale. And so you can see she didn't do anything in it, but she created it. So I'd have to go back in and say, Missy, we need to go back in and do your education plan. No big deal. And so then I can exit out of that. And so that's a nice way to quickly view your students' user details in a mass list. You just have to right click and open them in a new tab. So right click, open link in new tab, and I can see Brandy Abbott as an example. And I can see she did her skills confidence back in 2017. I can see when she did ed plans. Looks like she was in 7th grade at that time. So keep that in mind. Very, very convenient and easy to just dig around and play around in that. I think I like that report the most in terms of being able to see a holistic view of the student's ICAP. Right click, open link in new tab, and I can see each student's results. Again, the only thing I can't see for ICAP in this component is goals. We've talked about that. So I'm going to go back to the administration tab one more time. So click into administration. And we're going to look at transition users for just a moment. So click into transition users. And you are going to see navigator. We always want it in navigator. You're going to see your school selected. So it looks very similar to what we just pulled for the username report. So if we go down here and we click into the plus button, you can select whatever grades you would like to see. I, again, would recommend breaking this down by grade. So whenever you have the grade selected that you would like, you will click search. And then you're going to see, remember we talked about Brandy Abbott. We pulled up her information just a moment ago, and we could see her information here. So what you will do is you'll be able to see how to select a mass list of students or select one student at a time, and you will be able to remove those students from street school. They will no longer be associated with your school. So you may be wondering, well, how do I do that? So I'm going to pull up information. Transition. So you'll see I have a transition old students directions here. I'll wait and let it open. There we go. Okay, so you're going to see instructions on how to do this, but the most important part is down here. So you're going to see an activation code. And so it's a pretty long code, as you can see, but you would want to use this code. So if I copy this code and I went and selected any given student, and I'm not going to actually do this, but I could select all students up here, or I could select just one student. And at the very bottom of this page, it's going to ask for an activation code. So I would paste that here and click apply, and it would remove that student. Now you may be wondering, where does that student go? Their information is not lost. It is moved to the state account. So it's essentially moved to our archived state account. It's always able to be activated. So the student can always get back into it. We can always find it for you if the student needs it. It's no big issue to get their student account back, whether that's they go on to college and the college is using CareerGuide, or they go to a tech center and the tech center is using CareerGuide. They can also just make a brand new account and associate their new account with wherever they're at now. So just keep in mind the account is not lost. We can always reactivate it. So don't worry, don't stress if you accidentally boot a student out and you need them back. We can always get them back. So that is how to move students out of street school so that they're not clogging up your reports side any longer. So that essentially encompasses the administration tab and the most important components, I believe. I did want to jump back one more time into the username report. I realized I forgot to tell you this, but whenever you are in that student list of the username report, keep in mind you can also export it to an Excel doc. So easy breezy, you can always have it in a mass Excel. However, it will not show you all the information of that individual user. It'll just show you this information that you see right here in an Excel doc. You won't be able to click and open a new student and see their individual profile. So keep that in mind. So administration, find a user if you want to look up an individual student. Transition users, you need an activation code to move that student out of your account. Very easy, just get with me and I can get you that. And then a username report. So this is if you want to see all of your 12th graders usernames, and you can right click, open their profile in a new tab, and you can see all of their details other than their goals for ICAP. I will show you how you can find their goals. So give me just a moment. So now we're going to go over to the reports tab. And so we're in the reports tab, and you're going to see multiple boxes in the center. We're going to focus on two components in the activity progress reports. We'll look at additional reports in just a moment. Additional reports is where we'll go to see your students' goals. So we'll pull that up in just a minute. And then we're going to look at core reports too. So let's start with activity progress reports. The two components I find to be the most important for ICAP purposes is the assessments and education plans. So I'm going to show you if we click into assessments. Now keep in mind, this is the key word, activity progress report. Okay. If I click into assessments, you're going to see it automatically filters to Navigator since we've been selecting that. And then remember, since it's a progress report, you're going to be able to select an assessment. So you can do just one assessment or you can do all. And then for the progress, remember progress, you can see students who have not started their assessment yet, any of their assessments, who started but did not complete their assessment, and who have completed them. So if you're trying to track down students and figure out who has or has not done their assessments for this school year, you can go through this filter option. So I'm going to click have not started yet. And then you can select a date range. So if you know that your students have done they're supposed to have done them this semester, then you could click this semester. You could say this academic year, last academic year. You can even put other. So if you click other, you can filter by a date range. So you can put in a specific date range time frame. So I'm just going to say this academic year, and then you'll click individual report. Now keep in mind, you can select whatever date range you want. So if I click individual report, it's going to show me a list of students who have not completed their assessments for this year. So I can see, okay, Kelly Tester, her test account, she has not completed it. If I open up her account in a new tab, I will see that same user detail report, and I can see, okay, she hasn't done any of her assessments at all. I need to go find her and have her do them. Okay, so pretty easy. You can also export this to an Excel document, CSV, and you can print it off too if you'd prefer. So if you want to go back, you can scroll down to the bottom and click update criteria. And when you update criteria, it'll take you back to that main page, and you could started but did not complete. So you can filter by that option and view an individual report of students who have started but have not finished their assessments. And so that'll give you the same list as what we've already talked about. And you can see, I can see Ryan Lee. And if I right click and open, I can see his skills confidence is incomplete for 12th grade. Need to go track him down and see where he's at. Let's go get that done. Okay. So again, just update criteria. Very easy. You can always filter by those options. Now I'm going to go back to the reports tab again. So we're going to start fresh. We've covered assessments. I am going to show you actual assessment results and how to find those in just a moment. But we're going to go into education plans, ed plans for now. So we click into education plans. So whenever we are in education plans, you're going to scroll down to the select criteria option. And so you can run any specific kind of report, but there are two that I find to be the most valuable. So under report type, click education status, education plan status, and then you'll click report. And so this is where you can run multiple types of reports. You can run a summary. I wouldn't do that. You can see a not started student list. That one's valuable. So you can see students who have not done their education plans yet. You can see a student who has started but not completed. And then pending approval. So this is if they completed their ed plan and they submitted it on the student side for approval. So that's where you could find any pending approvals. And then if you did go in and approve, you can You can also filter by that. And if you denied any, you could filter by that. But we're going to focus on the not completed and the pending approval today. So I'm going to click not completed student list. So this is as if you got all of your freshmen together and they all did their education plan for this year, but they did not submit for approval. They should show up in this not completed list. That does not mean that their education plan is completed. They don't have to submit if you don't want them to. I have a school that I was speaking to last week, and she told me that she doesn't want her students to submit education plans to her until they're seniors. And so that's her option. That's what she wants to do. It's going to be up to you all if you want them to submit the education plan every single year. Now, if they do submit, then again, it would be under pending approval because they've submitted it to you, and now the system is acting like, okay, it's in this in-between waiting space, waiting for the administrator, the educator, to approve that education plan. So if a student goes in and does their education plan, but they don't submit it, it would be under not completed because it's acting like they haven't submitted it to you. So it's okay if they don't submit it until their senior year. It's okay to still complete, even if they don't submit it. So under school year, I'm just going to say, for me, any school year, you can filter by this school year, 2022, 2023. And then I'm going to do all grade levels, but you can do just 12th grade, whatever you want to filter by. And then for all graduation years, I am going to, for me personally, just select all of high school. And the reason that is because a lot of schools that are tied to the career tech state account the individuals don't go in and do ed plans. So I'm afraid there's not going to be a lot if I just filter by a specific grade. But you can filter by a specific grade if you would like. I think that would be easier if I were at a school. I would filter by a specific grade. So once you have filtered and chosen all the little things that you want to do, you'll click view report. And it will load and give you your students' information. And so what you can do here is you can see that they've all started it, and you can click the actions, the little microscope, and I can see, okay, so, oops, do everything out. Let me log back in. Try one more time. So I can see that Laura didn't do anything for her ed plan, but she went in and acted like she was creating it. She was didn't enter any courses there. So let's go to Monique. Same with Monique. And this helps you get an idea of where your students are. Let's look at Alondra. Okay, I can see Alondra did a 7th grade plan and an 8th grade plan, which is great. That's wonderful. So you can see, technically, this would be considered complete. She just didn't submit it, which is okay. If I were at school, would say that's complete for 7th and 8th grade. She just hasn't done for 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, and that's okay. And so you can always right click and print it off and save that and keep it. Let's look at another. Grace Kinsley. Okay, I can see she did a really detailed ed plan for her 7th grade. Wonderful. That's great. So technically her 7th grade is done, even though she didn't submit it to me, right? So now you've taken a look at the not completed list. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and update criteria. And now I'm going to go to pending approval. So this is when a student, maybe they're a senior and you want them to submit it to you finally. So pending approval, view report, and now I can see they don't have everything. But I can see Rachel. I'm going to click actions, and then I will be able to see that she submitted her 9th grade to me. Cindy. Now keep in mind, they can, I can see Cindy did her 9th grade, she submitted it to me. They can submit in year. They can submit 7th grade, 8th grade, if you have them do that, if you all choose to do that. But again, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th is when they have to do their education plan. And so they can submit at 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. But again, it's up to you all how you want to do that. Some schools don't want them to officially submit their final ed plan until they're seniors. So that is how you can view ed plan results and where your students are in their ed plans. I'm going to go back to the reports tab and show you just a couple more things. So now we're going to switch gears and we're going to look at assessment reports. So I'm actually going to show you the core report here. So it's got all the little colorful graphs. So if I click core, this is the most important thing, and it's such an easy step to miss here, is advanced options. So easy to miss that. So click advanced options, and it's going to give you more filter results, or more filter options, I should say. And so keep this defaulted to Navigator, keep this defaulted to national clusters. And then under criteria, keep your school selected. But remember, we're going to go to the user details and we're going to pull by specific grades. So you can pull by all education levels and all graduation years. I'm actually going to just pull high school only. So high school education level, high school graduation year. Now this pulls for any student no matter what. And the reason you'll see education level versus grad year is because you may have a student who says they're graduating in 2023, but their account is still in 10th grade, right? So then this filters and brings up that student no matter what. And then under assessment details, you can select by any one of the assessments. It honestly doesn't matter because I'm going to show you how you can actually see all three in these various reports. So I'm just going to select interest assessment, career interest assessment. And then remember, we can filter by a date range. So by the date range, I'm just going to do this academic year. And then under display options, I'm going to select all of these options down here. And then you can see that you can run 4 different types of reports. There are 4. There's an individual report, one-page summary report, aggregate report, and a top 3 report. Now for ITAP purposes, I'm going to focus on just one of these. Okay, so I'm going to show you the one-page summary report. I think this is the most commonly used for ITAP purposes. The one-page summary, and then you'll see they'll give you options. So it's only showing me 31 students. That's okay. For you, it should show you more. It will only let you run a one-page summary for 40 students at a time. So you'll be able to select and hopefully see, students 1 through 40, then 41 through 80, and so forth. So I'm going to click View. And it's going to show me a one-page summary for Connor. And I can see that Connor did his interest assessment on September of 2022. I can see that he did not do his skills confidence assessment or his work values assessment. It's okay. Technically, Connor would be done with his assessment requirement for ITAP for this year, since they only technically have to do 1 assessment per year. But if you want them to do all 3, track down Connor. Connor, hey, you're going to have to go do your skills confidence and your work values assessments and career guide. Then the next page is going to be Ottawa. And you can see Ottawa did their interest assessment back in August. They did their skills confidence back in August. They did their work values back in August. Okay, Ottawa, you're good to go for your senior year, for example. Same with Kelly. I can see when she completed it, and so forth. So as you can see, this pulls all of your 40 students. Now, as you can see, I opened in a new tab. So if I go back to the admin tab right here, I could then select and click the next option of students. This means 41 through 80 if I had that option. And you could click view and it would open a new page for those students. I'm going to go back to this one-page summary report. Now, again, remember we looked at Connor's. So if I want to, I can click the print button and I can save it as a PDF here, or I could just I could print it. Either one. It'll do either. And so if I wanted to print it, it'll print all 31 of those students that it showed for me by one page. So then I have their assessment results for this school year. And that's sometimes handy for some people to have. You can also, again, save as a PDF, and then you could put it in a folder on your desktop and say, this was for my assessments for 2023 grads. And then you would be able to pull that if an accreditation officer comes in, you could go and pull and show their results for those students. Now, I do want to point out one important feature, which is under options. See how it says background graphics? So if that is deselected, you can still view the report. It's just not as pretty. So you can see here, it's a little bit harder to see their actual results. It's not as easy to read. So if I click background graphics, it is then going to show a little bit prettier of a view for each student on each page. So now this is not going to show you any summary prior to the most recent assessment. So it's only going to show you their most recent assessment results, which is kind of nice because if they haven't done it in this semester, August through November of the current, then you can go and track them down and say, hey, you need to go back and do this again. So that is how you pull a one-page summary. Now I'm actually going to click the back button. We're going to go back because I want it to save all my filter options under the core. And then you can also view an aggregate report. This is nice if you are wanting to bring in a guest speaker and you want to see what your top cluster is for your 10th graders. For example, you could filter up here for just your sophomores. Same with ed levels, just your sophomores, and then click aggregate report and it'll show you their sophomore top cluster overall. Which is nice because then you could pull in somebody from Puerto Catoosa or wherever and have them talk to those sophomores. That's just an example. The top 3 report and the individual report really focus on specifically their cluster results. So it is handy. It's just not necessarily required in a required report. Like the one-page summary is going to show you all 3 of their assessment results. The individual report and the top 3 don't necessarily show that. They just show their top clusters. You're welcome to play around in those. I'm not going to show you those today because I don't think that they're as important as the one-page summary is. So reports tab, we have gone into assessments to see who has and has not completed their assessment. We've gone into ed plans to see who has not completed or who has a pending ed plan. We've gone into core and filtered by one-page summaries. And then the final component is the additional reports. So down here, you're going to see a reports option. So when we click that, you're going to see your school listed up here. And then you're going to see 3 different boxes. So under general reports, we're going to focus on the goals detail report. Remember, we talked about that earlier. And then we're also going to look at the ICAP Oklahoma component too. So let's look at goals detail report under general reports. So if we click goals detail report, it is going to load and you can filter by a date range. So I probably would do, let's just say August 8th to current and update. Okay. And then down here, the one thing you'll notice, and this is something that I have brought up to Cooter, who creates OKCareerGuide for us, there is no grade level filtering option on the goals. So that sometimes is kind of a pain, but you will notice that. So you can type in a keyword. So you can type in a student's name. For category, if you want to filter by just the academic goals, you can. Goal type, I would just leave any goal type because the student may have selected after graduation, they may have selected current or high school. I would leave it as any goal. And then any completed, I would leave that. That's just in case they have a goal that's still in progress. I would leave it as any completed. And then down here, I can see Brandy. She wants to graduate with all A's. It's an academic goal, and she created that goal on August 24th, 2022. Judy, get A's and B's, academic goal. She did that back in August. Maddie Warren, she just put academic goal. So that's where they'll want to be specific. So get a good ACT score, get good grades, get good grades. What does that mean exactly? What are good grades to you? Get a job. What kind of job? I'd like to get all A's and B's. And so they can be very simple, but if they can be more specific, that's ideal. Now, keep in mind, these are just playing around goals. Make a B in Comp 1, A in English, raise ACT score this year. What does that mean? How much do you want to raise it? So you can encourage your students and push them to think through more detailed goals if you would like. But that's how you can filter their goals. And you can even download this as a PDF or an Excel document, whatever you prefer. I kind of like the PDF. Well, you could do either one. It doesn't really matter. But if I download as a PDF, I can see students, I can see all of their goals. And then I actually can Control F and I can search for Tammy, which is my fake student account. And so if an accreditation officer comes in and says, I want to see this student's academic goal, I could go and download this as a PDF and show them Tammy wants to make a B in Comp 1, and this was when she did her goal. Date it was created. So that is a way to pull goals. Now, I'm going to go back up to the top left, see where there's those three little bars. We call those the hamburger bars. It's like a little hamburger, and then it'll say home. So click home, and we're going to focus on one more component, and then we're done, okay? So we have ICAP Oklahoma, detailed reports and section reports. So I'm going to click detailed reports by student, and when it loads, I can filter as I please. So I can search for a specific student's name, date range, and I can filter by grade here, which is nice. Status, I would leave any status. I wouldn't submit, I wouldn't change that. And then it's going to show what a student has done. So let me search for me. Okay, so as you can see, Tammy Taylor, and then I have this little actions button. I can either print it or view it. I'm going to click the little view option, little eyeball, and I can see Tammy's ICAP Oklahoma page, and I can see all of her assessments. I can see all of her goals and when she did those, when she selected the deadline. I can see any ed plans that she's done. I just can't view the actual ed plan, but I can see that she started it and what date. I can see that Tammy went in and selected job shadow as her work-based learning. So remember, these are the green cards on the ICAP Oklahoma feature in CareerGuide on the student side. So we get a lot of requests for schools to be able to view these in a in-mass view. At this time, you can only view one student by one student, one at a time. So I can only view Karen Brewer, and I can only see what Karen Brewer did. I can't keep scrolling and see what the next know it all student did, right? Or I can't keep scrolling and see Abby Moore down below Karen Brewer. I won't be able to scroll and see that. So you do have to click each individual one. So we've had a lot of requests for that to change. And so that is something that they're working on improving. They are very aware of it, and they're aware of the need for it. So if I go back, I'm going to actually go back one, and I'm going to go back to these boxes. So ICAP Oklahoma, we looked at detailed reports. Now I'm going to show you section reports. And so here you can search for a specific section. So I'm going to, and this is the sections in the green card. So remember, each green card had their own titles, which is also known as a section. So if I want to look at the goals section, I can see just that goal section. So let's pull up Abby Moore. And if I click the little dog-eared page, it's going to show me that exact same thing. So it really doesn't make a big difference which you filter by. You can print, you can Excel, PDF, but that is why I usually focus on the detailed reports. Full detailed reports by student. And so that shows you the two ways to filter to find goals. But again, probably for me, how I would do this is I would go to administration. I would username report. I would filter that and view all of my seniors, for example, and I would just right click and open link in new tab. And I would see everything here except for their goals. And then I would go pull that individual goal report for those students as well. That is personally how I would do it. Instead of having to pull all these different kinds of reports, I would just pull a username report, and I would pull a goals report. So that's going to show me on the username report their assessments when they did them. It's going to show me when they did their ed plan. It's going to show me any uploaded documents that they put in there, and then I can go and track down their goals. And the uploaded documents can also show any ACT scores that they put in there. So that's probably how I would do it, but you're welcome to filter and play around with any components of this. I very much appreciate your time. I do want to encourage you to reach out to me if you ever have any questions or you ever need anything. I am happy to help. I am going to put my contact info up in just a moment when it loads. I would love for you to feel free to reach out to me. Miss Jill has my contact, and she is a great resource as well. And I know she is happy to help you, but if you ever need additional assistance, here is my information. So you see my phone number and my email, both listed here. Happy to help you in any way I can. Definitely reach out with any questions, and I'll leave that up for just a moment. You can take a picture of it. We do offer lots of webinar trainings if you're interested. If you want to join a webinar, I'll show you how to find that. Give you just a moment here. Again, Miss Jill has my contact. Now, under our training page, and I can always email this to you, we do have, going a little slow, but we do offer lots of webinar trainings. So you'll see down here, we offer beginner trainings, we offer deeper dive trainings in all different components of CareerGuide. So I'd be happy to help you also with just an individual training, and like what we've done today, and go over more detail if you have additional questions. But thank you so much for joining me today. And if you do need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great day.